dentro, Pirlo dentro,
Ciao Juventini, welcome back to the All Juve Cast channel, where of course it's all Juve all the time. We are going to recap the week in news surrounding Juventus. We also had a couple of friendlies we can discuss. Well, the one that took place yesterday that had people get a little too fired up. And then, of course, I got on the ticker, scrolling across the bottom, it's giveaway time today. That's right. So the AJC Ride or Die World Cup competition, we're finally going to give away the prizes, all right? Saying what's up to Bob out there. Ciao tutti. Can't wait for more matches. I think everybody can't wait for the real action to begin there January 4th with Cremonese. Right now, it's all a matter of just waiting to see who's going to all be fit when they're getting fit. We have some type of idea, but I've always said when it comes to these guys and the dates, just take it with a grain of salt. And we've seen that with Paul Pogba, and Paul Pogba is definitely going to be in the discussion today. All right. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody. Obviously, yes, I came prepared for the holiday show. I guess I was the only...
I didn't.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. Now, my apologies for starting late. I'm sure Ant's got something to say about that.
I got this guy. We're waiting to do a live show. We're going to bring Omer on in a second. I got this guy. Let's bring Omer in here. Waiting to do a live show. Chucklehead over here decides to do a TikTok video. I'm like, what do you do? What are you doing?
We got to let everybody know, man. I didn't want to
ruin
leave
my Christmas, Al.
I didn't want to leave them out. You know, the TikTok crew, we got the Instagram crew, we got the Twitter. The Twitter guys always know, but yeah, you don't want to leave anybody out. And we were waiting for Omer too, so it's all good. It's all good. And here we go.
The only thing that's saving you is that mustache. That's the only thing that's saving you right now.
Hey, I'm not a superstitious person.
Yes, you are.
Out of respect for the Juventini who are, that said the mustache can't go since we were on the streak. Hey.
You're a good man.
That's right. Your
wife hates
doesn't
it.
seem to think
100%.
so because of it, but I think, you know what? I think she just doesn't want to admit it. It's growing on her. It's growing on her.
No, it isn't.
You look like Ron Jeremy. I'm sorry. How are you guys? Good morning.
Not even close. Not even close, Ron Jeremy. Come on.
Turn that hair into curls and you're exactly Ron Jeremy.
Oh, man. Omar, how are you doing this morning? What's going on? You having some technical issues or what?
Yeah, I had some technical issues. I didn't hear you. Like, everything was fine, but I couldn't hear you talking, and I have no idea why, actually. I don't know even how I fixed it, but I can hear you now, so it's all good.
All right. The audio is a little on your end, but we can hear you. We'll be able to deal with it. We'll be able
Clearly
to
enough?
Okay. Yeah, you're clear enough.
I usually shut up most of the time anyway.
There we go. We got Skippy saying, morning, guys. Loves the show. Merry Christmas from Australia. Happy holidays. All the best to our Australian friends. We get a ton of support out of Australia, and we appreciate it. Love the Melbourne crew, too. Okay, Juve official fan club, JCD Melbourne, Gigi Buffon, the only fan club to be able to have Gigi Buffon's name in there. Fantastic. Jeremiah, hey, guys. Happy Christmas weekend. Kush, Merry Christmas. Bobby saying the OGs are up. There we go. There we go. We've got a lot to tackle, and do not forget, everybody, obviously, it's giveaway time today. So hopefully everybody that made the right decision, you know, it was me all along. It was me all along.
Wow.
Okay. Lou,
there's still questions.
We laughed about this too, Anthony and I in the green room, because nobody on the team knew that I was actually going to give the winner from the team a Del Piero kit. But
because I totally would have cheated. I would have cheated my way into getting that jersey. I would have found a way to cheat.
I have the kit though. So what do we do with this kit? Do we run another giveaway for it? Should I be a nice guy and give it to Lou, since technically he was the other winner out of the team? But what do you guys think?
No, Lou doesn't deserve anything nice.
What's that, Omer?
Another giveaway.
There we go. So sorry, Lou. Ant, what do you think?
Well, if I may, I don't want to put this out there, but if you do remember, there was a listener or a watcher who won a jersey, but donated his jersey because where he was living, it wasn't too safe at the time.
Yeah.
So we still owe him a jersey. So maybe, I think, was it Fayez?
Fayez, yeah. Fayez.
So
wow.
we still owe him one. So
Yeah.
there
And
you go.
Aldo is who he donated his kit to, and Aldo got his. We saw the pictures on Instagram and everything. So
I
yeah,
think first we
actually
should reach
do
out
owe
to
him.
Fayed. See if
Maybe
he's
we will try that. Good morning. The good mornings are coming in here. And yeah, we are going to do the giveaways. We're going to run them a little bit later. Now, everybody, for 6K, we hit 6K on the All UVCast Twitter account. Okay, we're at 3K on YouTube. We continue to climb. These giveaways are just a small token to say thank you. And we love having fun. We use the World Cup as an opportunity to have some more fun with everybody, picking all the team members and everything. And it was good. It was good banter between all of us. Made the World Cup a little more interesting for some of us Zuri fans who didn't have a team to follow. So it was good. It was good stuff. And we'll be doing those giveaways. There will be a 6K giveaway on Twitter as well. So if anybody's tuning in here and you're not following us on Twitter, make sure you follow us on Twitter. Okay.
That's where all the action is.
That's where all the action is. That's where Omer, him, and especially Lou. And I think it's fair to say the high percentage is Lou on the news. He's really been working overtime. It's crazy, keeping us all in the loop. Now with the news,
I think he's sacrificing a love life to do all that, which is good for him.
Too late for me. So
there you go. Reopening investigations. We'll start with this one. All right. So obviously prosecutors of the FIGC reopening investigations into the capital gains. And again, we are in the same loop that we've gone through already. It's been thrown out once by a judge. So out of the 3 times it's been, because we had this discussion too, been kicked out 3 times, dismissed, but once by a judge. So here we are again.
So this is the official appeal of that decision that was in May. So I know it was confusing to us in the group. I did a little bit of just some quick research on it because this is a complete waste of whoever is paying their taxes in Italy. The few people that actually do. This is a complete waste of taxpayer money. So I understand that in certain cases there's an appeal, and then prosecutors have the right to appeal. But with all the stuff that I'm assuming that came out with the consub and the Fidenza investigation, my guess they're gonna try and use that information in this appeal when the case was thrown out. Like, what was that? Like 7 months ago. So they're just doing their due diligence. But I don't see any way that this appeal is upheld. So
yeah. Omer, your thoughts on this?
I'm confused. I lost track of the times we're getting investigated for something. I have no idea how it works and how are they even have a case. Like Real Madrid can sign a 16-year-old kid from Brazil who's worth 60 million. No 16-year-old is worth 60 million unless he cured cancer or something, but based on football skills alone. But no one bats an eye about it. So I don't know what they're looking for. I don't know what they're trying to prove. We've had enough of it like 10 years ago. So by now it's just an unfunny joke, basically. And that's it. I lost track of everything.
Yeah, I did say towards the beginning, even when we were getting those signs that it was on an upward trend as far as the news started to get positive and that they didn't really have anything, then the judge, I still said, just wait, because it's going to be long and drawn out. That's how these things work. And you knew these prosecutors, remember the one thing I said, I think it was during a live show, Anthony, where I said they can't handle the L. They never can. They can't handle the defeat, and they just push and push and push and push. And that's what's going to happen. Sad thing for me is that you would think in a moment when, you would think that the FIGC would have been happy at the original dismissal and maybe applied a little bit pressure to shut it down, especially when you start getting multiple teams, because now there are multiple teams involved again, same as the start, same as before, reinvestigated and things reopen. Serie A, it's crazy that we have to repeat ourselves, but they cannot afford this thing to spiral in the manner that it can, because even teams that aren't being investigated, I can assure you have done these salary maneuvers, which, again, a lawyer.
Well, that's a separate conversation.
Yeah, a sports lawyer that's tackled these cases for 40 years has said all teams do this. There is nothing wrong with it. And it's literally an open dealing between the players and the club themselves. There is nothing that needs to be accounted for other parties or anything. So it's
not
just
only him. Like a lot of figures spoke up against it, like the minister of what was it? The minister of sport, Gravina, the chairman of FIGC. They spoke against it. They said there are ramifications to it, and it's not cool at all the way it was handled, and the evidence leaking out to the press and stuff. So, like, get the hint. They're all telling you don't go that far with, just these minor details. It will eventually all be just a fine, maybe. That's what it looks like if they achieve anything. Like, they have nothing to prove, and everyone is hinting at that, all the authorities. But they still go strong. So, like I said, just not a funny joke anymore.
So, I don't know if this is the case, but this could be the case. Sometimes you get, like to Al's point, you get a prosecutor who just doesn't want to take the L, or he has a bone to pick with somebody, and he, and it could be. And we saw Gravina, we saw some of the higher ups say, okay, there doesn't seem to be anything here. They could, one of their subordinates, normally it doesn't happen, one of their subordinates could be just saying, listen, I'm going after these guys. I find something here. And they just have to put a leash on them, because, again, Al, to your point, this does no positive to the entire league, especially to the smaller teams that are in there. I think there's Pescara, Novara. There's a whole bunch of small, like what good is going to come from laying the hammer, even though it's already been thrown out, to those smaller teams? Like what possible benefit are you going to get?
Here's the other thing too. All of the negative. So you have a league that's already miles behind the ones we're trying to chase, trying to keep on par with, whatever. So you're already behind. Every time there's a negative headline surrounding this whole thing, it is magnified and it is just blown up. The second that first judge, the first official shutdown of this case happens, it's like crickets. It's like crickets. So unfortunately, anyone outside of Serie A that isn't following this thing even closer will still just cling to the narrative of the negative shit that they put out there, which was Juve involved in this. And anytime Juve is involved, it's magnified. But that's all that's going to stick. And this league can't figure it out to save their lives, that this is just brutal for them. And they're already behind the eight ball. That's why I would have liked them to, at some point, apply some type of pressure to these prosecutors. Like, hey, you know what? Enough's enough. Like, it's been dismissed 3 times, 1 time officially by court. Like, it's time to shut them down. I'm almost hoping, and I seriously, like, as shitty as it is to say, I want Juve to press back at some point. And
I think they will.
Even if their name's cleared and whatnot, I want them to actually push back and be like, you know what? This is what's happening now. And that's why when the whole discussion about Agnelli buying whatever, the one thought was that when you become private, you have more power and a little bit more leverage in these types of scenarios. However, Agnelli being the one that purchases outright brings up a whole different discussion that we already had and went down. But for me, just in general, I want to see Juve push back. And if it means some detriment to the league, then hey, so be it. Because you know what? Enough's enough. This has gone on way too long.
So kind of pivoting into what's happening tomorrow, I believe, is the new board members are going to be announced. The ones that, well, the election doesn't happen until January, but the names are being put forward for the new board members tomorrow. And yeah, like they said, it's going to be more of a technical staff, legal sort of group. And I agree with you. I think they're going to push back. This isn't 2006 to 2008 anymore. All that stuff that came out with the wiretaps, I fully believe they're going to go after whoever's been putting their name to the mud once all this stuff gets thrown out. Absolutely. And they should, rightfully so.
Yeah, at what point can Juve sue for defamation or anything? Like it is giving Juve a bad rep around the world. The stock is plummeting because of all these reports, and let's not forget, like this this was a present from God for the media during the World Cup because they had nothing to report. If they
Hmm.
weren't reporting that, they were just throwing out every name in the World Cup, linking us to Juve, following this, following that. So they just want to fill up column inches in the paper and they want big headlines. It just fell out of the sky for them. And once the judge dismissed it, once again we came back to all the quote unquote leaks from the group chat and stuff. And I don't even know if these things are reliable or were even said, but the media is making it a lot worse. And Juve should fight back. And when the dust settles, sue whoever you can to make sure that the next time someone decides to start an open investigation against us and run our names through the mud, you'll know that there will be consequences if you fail. And he thinks about it twice.
And
Yeah.
it was good timing, right? If you think about it, it happened right at the beginning of the World Cup, and it's sort of it had that week of, it was everywhere. And now what? Now you don't hear about it. The board's gonna be elected tomorrow. March is the big month because March is when we have. I think that's when this Consub case or this Plus Venza case goes to trial. It has to be done by March. Also, the Super League announcement from the European Court of Justice happens in March as well. So March will be
Yeah.
a big month.
So basically, what's going down is Exor is going to finalize their list tomorrow.
Mhm.
Monday, it's going to be officially put out there, and then of course, that goes to vote. But yeah, absolutely right. There's not going to be any football profiles within it. It's going to be lawyers, financial experts, accountants, etc. And honestly, whatever it is, what it is, the management team that's going to look over the sporting side. That's where you get your rumors of Gintoli, obviously Dada as well. You get all those guys in the mix there. And then coaching is becoming a carousel. And Zidane all of a sudden this week looks like Deschamps going to stay on at France, most likely, which leaves Zidane a possibility. But again, this all stems from the new management and what their decision is going to be on Max Allegri come season's end and how Juventus finishes the season. Okay. Do we want to talk potentially about Zidane? I mean, we should. Fans are getting pretty jacked up if that's a possibility and whatnot, but there are still some that are hesitant based on the fact that squad he had great success with is massively different than the squad he would be taking over at Juventus. So that's
Yes.
the big question. Is he the right guy for the project at this moment in time? Should we make a change here? Omer, why don't we get your thoughts on
Yep.
Zidane potentially being the guy?
Zidane, I can't honestly, give you a proper answer. Like the only measurement we have is his time at Real Madrid, which like is divided into two different stints. The first one was like the most successful ever, and the second one was not so successful. And I don't know. It might be interesting. Maybe he's looking for like a home and a long-term project to not have to look for jobs every 2, 3 years. I absolutely love the guy. I think players admire him, and he's the only one, not the only one, but he's he's handled the dressing room at Real Madrid, which is full of ego and stuff, perfectly because the players shut up when he talks and he knows what he's talking about. He's been through everything, and maybe that's what a group of young players need right now. He does have more experience in the what's like the Serie B of what's called the La Liga. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know how good a tactician is. I guess we'll find out. It's been even rumored that they're looking for him not only for the manager role, maybe for some other role in the management. But it's heating up. Like I see more and more reports, newspapers, not the credible guys. But it's interesting. I wouldn't mind it.
Ants, what are your thoughts on Zidane?
I've made my thoughts sort of a little bit in our group chat. He was handed the keys to one of the best teams of all time. So, is like, to sort of Omer's point, is he a great tactician, or did he just like throw out the 11 guys and they just steamrolled everybody? I don't know. My thing is, Allegri won 6 in a row or 6 clean sheets. Was it 6 undefeated or was it 6 wins? I can't remember now.
6.
Anyways.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Exactly.
I think
So 6 clean sheets coming into the World Cup. We're getting a lot of players back, integrating younger players. Potentially, there's going to be maybe some sales. I think we're going to get to maybe some sales that might be happening in January. I think it does Allegri a disservice to be talking about Zidane when he potentially this season could see a big upswing in the second half. It may or may not, but at this moment in time, I don't think it's fair to Allegri to be talking about bringing in Zidane when, one, I don't even think Zidane is even a better manager than he is. Right? Is he? I don't know. I don't think he is. He might be equivalent, but I don't think he's a superior manager than Allegri.
I guess it's Schrodinger's cat. Like, we'll have to just open the box to find out, and maybe we'll find out the hard way and go to a different team and just take them all the way.
So what it comes down to is what everybody personally believes when it comes to Max Allegri. Because here's the thing: any way you slice it, I mean, yeah, maybe it's not right to talk about a manager change, but it kind of is in the fact that the guys that brought him in are gone and no longer there. Mm-hmm. So when you have a new management, maybe they want their own guy. Maybe that new management that comes in isn't on Max's side. The other thing is too, is a lot of the stuff that worked out for our benefit, were Max's hands actually tied? And that's why I say, like, I want to see what he does with the full squad. Does he continue to reward guys who offer next to nothing in comparison to their counterparts? Do those guys still get the benefit of the doubt? Because he was giving guys way too long a leash in the first half for the better part of that first half of the season. And it was costing us. And we didn't see a change until we absolutely had no choice but to put Fagioli in there, who brought a spark, brought a sign of life, and helped.
And look, they should have a plan B. They need to have a plan B in place. Do not find yourself like in the same Sarri Pirlo situation. Like, we should expect the decision by the end of the season, but the management should already work on a backup plan in case they need to sack Max.
Yeah. Now, this is a good point from Neville about the pay. So here's the one thing. I don't expect it to happen, but there would be a way out for Juve, and that's if they don't qualify for the Champions League, which isn't going to happen. I'd see no way where we don't finish in the top 4 of Serie A. It would take something crazy for us not to make top 4. We're a top 4 side. And that's the frustrations in the first half of the season, is we were underachieving. We've talked about what we think could happen potentially in the second half of the season. We'll do that for a little New Year's recap and then predictions for second half. Anthony and I always love those shows. But
by the way, Anto is saying he wanted me to tell you he's watching it live right now, and he says Zizou hands down. And Anto is the most passionate fan I ever met. If he wants Zizou, I'm rolling with him.
Sorry, Anto wants what?
Anto wants Zizou. No Allegri.
He wants Zizou.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
look, that's a trend.
Listen, again, I've said it. I count them out. We should go back and count them out. I'm not a max in or max out guy. I'm just saying, Al, you brought up a good point. With the beginning of the season, it did not look good when he had a full roster. It's true. But he sort of fixed things, again, not because of anything that he created. It was more of like he was forced to use these players. Let's see what happens in January, February, March. And then maybe at the end of the season, you got to go. I would be fully behind that. But I still think you got to give him his team. Let's see how this this restart happens.
But the scary thing is that you did have a coach that at one point during the first half of the season, it would have been completely justifiable to fire.
100%
And
correct.
if the reason it didn't happen was because number one of his good friends was in charge of the decisions. Number two, the financial state, does that make it right or wrong? This is everybody's personal, way of thinking. Like, people will take that and interpret it however they feel based on their feelings towards Max. For me, I don't care who the coach is, if I'm being completely honest. But
I agree.
The one thing that scares me moving on after this season is the fact that we had so much doubt and so much was going wrong that it was like, man, I have a lot of issues just keeping him going beyond if there are some other options available and if we're going to do a wholesale change. Because the thing for me right now, when I look at Juve as a whole and I take Max out of the equation, one of the things that's been bugging me for a while is the fact that I feel like we keep trying to recreate the past rather than build something completely new, a new fresh set of ideas. And the one time when I thought we were going to do that, we bailed immediately at the first sign of adversity. So Max is like a symbol for me of sticking and trying to cling to the past rather than moving forward. And that's the best way I can put it from my own opinion. And Zidane, whether it's Bielsa, whoever these guys want, whoever anybody wants, I don't care who necessarily is the manager. I want to see something fresh and not trying to recreate success of the past and try to just build something new. Because sometimes, we talked about this too, even during the World Cup. You see Di Maria, and he had an incredible final for the minutes that he could offer. He was unbelievable. Played out wide as a winger. Standard setup for him anywhere he's had success. It was great. I said, look at this. I go, leave it to Juventus to try and reinvent the wheel with every friggin' player we get. We can't just keep it simple and play these guys the way they should be played. And you see Di Maria as a second striker, as a attacking mid in a Juve setup. And I'm like, he's a winger all day, every day, and just don't change it. And part of that for me is actually Max Allegri because of what he lacks in the offensive aspect, which is trusting the players completely. He wants to put him in a scenario where he gets the ball all the time, but he just does his damage on the wing. It's just little things like that which create doubt for me with Max. That's the only way.
So basically, to sum up the Max thing, we've all been there. It's like that ex of yours that you just keep going back to. She keeps coming back. She or he, love is love. It keeps coming back, and it just doesn't work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But Luca does know what we're talking about because he's never really been in that situation. But you know what I mean. You two know what I mean.
If Max finishes the season off incredibly and we all of a sudden turn things right around, like we get a few trophies and whatnot, if we continue to integrate the young guys, because right now that's the biggest thing with Juve, is what do we do? And there was a headline out there that today said there's a problem we're not used to at Juventus, and it's a big amount of young talent.
We're signing them though.
Yeah. We have to find out a way to integrate that. And in the second half of the season, when guys are fitting back, we'll learn if Max is the guy. I truly believe that. I don't know. Omar, what do you think?
Find out.
I'm more concerned about how the players will come back. Cause I feel like I need a break from football. I feel like, the World Cup is super draining, and you just kind of have to be there and be on top of everything. So the players coming back from that, if I'm as a fan feel that way, how would Di Maria, Paredes, Rabiot would come back? So we might need to really bank on those youngsters at the beginning, because it's the first time players had to deal with, with the World Cup mid-season. Usually they have a 2-month break after, go on vacation and come back fresh. But landing right back into the middle, and with all the situation around Juve, that's a lot to take in. So maybe we'll have to bank on those youngsters more than we care to admit. For better or for worse, I'm for it. Like we said, if we are going to, clean our name and balance the books a bit, we will need to count on those coming from the academy more than bringing in players we can't afford.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it.
So this is interesting. If recreating the past doesn't work, why did it work when we got Lippy back? I don't think the game changed back then when they made that switch, but I think right now Allegri's playing an old style. He's playing an old style and this pragmatic football thing, and everybody wants to find examples everywhere of these teams with these awful statistics doing this. I don't think it's a way to make a living anymore in the game. I think you can get by when you need to in certain moments, but I don't know if Max is going to be the guy. My doubt with Max is the future, the young guys. We have all these players. Is he going to be the right guy to integrate them completely? Is he going to stick to the guys he trusts most? That's my thing with Max. He trusts the experience. The funny thing about that is, as a young guy, you can't get the experience if you're not put in those situations. So that's my whole thing with Max. That's all. And for me, Juve, I like to see them just kind of change styles a bit. And look, pragmatic football. When people find examples of this, I've seen it all World Cup. They're looking at look at these guys playing pragmatic football. Look, do you think if Morocco could go out there and dominate the play against a bunch of these higher skilled teams that they would do it? Do you think that like Japan wouldn't dominate and control the game if they didn't have to play that crazy counterattacking style that they did? Of course they would want to. When you're sacrificing the quality, that's what you have to do sometimes. You have to play on the defensive side. My issue is when Max applies that approach with this team, with this roster, that everybody wants to use an excuse saying it's not good enough. You're telling me we can't control the play against Monza. We can't control the play against one of the worst Sampdorias we've seen in a while. Bullshit.
Yeah, it's a tough argument to make when you bring up those two teams. You're like, those teams stink.
There's a time and place to play that style. When your belief is that is what you're capable of in every match you go into, then I start to raise questions.
How about this? How about we get off of Max for a second? We get into this.
I would love to.
Did you guys catch the game yesterday? If so, who impressed you of the youth players? Apparently, Houston is a beast. I did not watch the game. I did watch the highlights, but Al, I believe you caught.
I did catch most of it. Omar, did you catch most of it?
Yeah, I watched all of it. The first half,
that's perfect timing too. We were going to talk about the friendly next. Sule looks good, but he needs more minutes because it's that final ball from him here and there. Hugson looked good. Richo looked good. But again, you take it for what it is. One of these friendlies. I'm still looking at the guys that we're going to need in the second half of the season. Like, it's cool to watch these young guys. And I think, again, there's a lot of talent there for these young guys. It's cool to see them in these friendlies and whatnot. But, I mean, Hugson, it's too early to make any of these calls. It's like Barbieri just received an extension to 2026. Mm-hmm. We had this discussion in the group chat. Do we feel comfortable bringing him in immediately and just letting him be the change up to Cuadrado? Well, you've seen such a small sample size. I mean, he looks good and whatnot. And this is where we get into this same discussion. Experience, but you have to gain the experience. If Cuadrado is going to remain our top option at that right wing back position, sure, save money on the Mercado, whatever, let Barbieri take the reins in behind him or whatnot, or do you bring in a solid option? The other thing is you have Cambiaso. He's not going to be able to come back from loan this season, but next season, what does that do to Cambiaso? Does that freeze him out? Because we're still looking at Grimaldo on a free and looking at all these left options. Cambiaso can play both sides. Juve's in an issue where they're going to have to make some calls on these players. But as far as the young guys in these friendlies, I have been impressed. I've been impressed with Barbieri. I'm impressed with Sule. I think Sule definitely needs this loan. apparently this January. It's coming up. He needs it. That kid needs minutes.
He needs to go
in Serie A. I like what I see from Sule. Lucci and Houston impressed me on the defensive side. What do you guys think about the youngsters? Omer.
Yeah, there's been like I can't even follow the amount of names that are considered big talents and the U23, the next gen. There are two teams. There are tons of names. Like a few years ago, it was only Keane. Everyone heard about Keane, and we're waiting for him to play in the big leagues. Now it's 20, 25 names that we should follow. Out of the game yesterday, Barbieri, he came in the second half, so I didn't get a chance to see him too much. But all the times I've seen him, he's been just fine. Perfectly fine. Nothing wrong, nothing, bad to his name. If we don't have like an easy option, someone on a free transfer, then yeah, don't spend. Keep Quadrado there. He's here till the end of the season and promote Barbieri. That's why we have these other teams that belong to us, so we can use them when we need to. And this is a situation where we need to. And I'm pretty sure that the board will say that to Max. Look, we can't buy the players you want. You have to mold the players we have into what you want them to be. They're young, they're enthusiastic. Go for it. So I've seen Barbieri, he was fine. And I actually kind of like Compagnon, even though he didn't have like a tremendous performance, but the guy didn't stop running for a second, pressing. He looked very determined. Ake was good. Ake was very good. The rest, like, I don't know, it should be an easy game on paper. Like, if we can beat them with all these Juve daycare that we are having, then they're performing well. But it's like a team from, I don't even know from where. I don't know. It was a nice game, and the Arsenal game was like 20% possession for us. So we defended, and we did that great. So I think like most of the talent is midfield and defense. Attacking wise, the ones that we've seen, Ealing Jr. and stuff. By the way, is the most anticipated player in recent history. Like every post we put out on him, everyone likes it. Everyone likes him and hoping for him to blow up. So let's hope he does.
Yeah, Ealing Jr., another recipient of the contract extension. A lot of contract extension talk, and it's focused around Juve Next Gen, which is cool to see. All these guys, and maybe this is a sign of moving to different times and whatnot, not clinging to the past, because usually we always hear about the older guys getting extensions and getting extensions early. This year, they said there was going to be no contract renewal talk until second half of the season. Well, here we are, and all these young guys are getting locked up. Ealing Jr. had 3 teams looking at him, and Juve just said, no, we're locking this thing down. And they did that. Barbieri extended to 2026. Sule looking to get some minutes because he's just getting frozen out here with our team. That stuff is good. That stuff's exciting. That's a good problem to have when you have all these youngsters and you got to make calls on them. I fully expect Rovella integrated next season. Paredes, season's end, all signs point to him going back to PSG. Obligations not met, thankfully, I think, based on what he's done so far. Locatelli. So this week we get the Locatelli news. Weak to okay source, but this is not the first time or the first source that has come up saying that Juve could potentially shop Locatelli. So we are going to tackle it. Apparently, 50 million euros is the minimum before Juve will enter negotiations for Locatelli. I want to get everybody's thoughts and everybody in the live on Locatelli and if we should move him or keep him. I made my thoughts very clear on Locatelli a lot over the past month or whatever, but even when he was facing criticisms there. But what are you guys' thoughts on Locatelli?
It will be a quick no for me. Keep this guy. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so I'll just preface my answer by saying, yes, it's a no for me. I'm trying to see what situation would arise that would force us to get rid of Locatelli. Like, we just spent 36 million to like finalize the deal, or we have a couple more payments for him. Like, so he's still on the books. So like anything less than 50, like I don't even think Juve would even look at it. I think Juve is in the position where they have to listen to offers. I don't think they would just hang up the phone. I think they'd honestly listen to offers. I don't think they would seriously consider anything less than 65 million for him. Now, I still wouldn't move for 65. But if you start getting someone popping in for 80 million or something, I wouldn't. But the new board coming in, the financial situation, what's the financial situation at? If you can sell McKennie and Locatelli, you have higher hopes in some of these young gen players that you just signed to extensions. It's going to come down to like to Max or whoever the new manager is, how this board feels about the financial situation, and they may pressure the club to say, hey, listen, you need to sell 3 guys, even though what's Locatelli's salary? 3.5. Like he's not making a big
it's like
wage.
3.5.
But
the other report was they're working on his renewal.
Yeah,
and that was more credible.
I don't see it happening, but I don't think people should just say it's not. It couldn't happen. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that there could be 3 names moved to shore up some financials, and then, hey, use these next gen guys to fill the holes. It could happen.
Yeah,
it might happen. I hope it doesn't, but
so Swati coming in, sell Luca to get Sergey. Laughing emoji. For me, it's just a no to move Locatelli. Of course, make sense, if you get a number that's big enough, okay, you've got to take it into consideration. But the thing is, then what are we doing?
Buy somebody.
What are we doing? Yeah, what are we doing for replacements? So if we look at our midfield just right now as it sits, Rabiot's going to be gone.
Yep.
McKennie's probably going to be gone.
Yep.
So you'll have Moretti, Fagioli, not ready to just fully take the reins there. Pogba, injury uncertainty. So Rovella's coming back next season. But again, you still need that. Like the amount of minutes Locatelli has chewed up since he's come in. And
Rabiot.
It's crazy that people forget that last season, Locatelli was in the mix for man of the match like so often. So often he was in that man of the match discussion last season. So he struggles a bit this season, and all of a sudden it seems like everybody's out there ready to just chuck him and say that's it. And I think it would be a mistake if Juve gets rid of Locatelli. I think there's other guys, if we had to sell, we could probably make some moves. But the thing is, things are going to clean up. And unfortunately, when it comes to sales, the only sales Juve would be able to make are going to be guys we shouldn't be selling, unfortunately, because the rest are contracts that just have to run out and just guys that have to go away. Quadrado's got to go. Sandro's got to go. Rugani's got to go. And there's nothing coming back. And this is one of the biggest things about highlighting some mismanagement that's gone on at Juve for many years, is the fact that you've got your roster to a point when the only guys that you can sell are guys that you shouldn't be selling. That's a problem. That's a sign right there of mismanagement taking place. So,
but I think we're in a better position now than we were in the summer. Looking forward in terms of the roster.
Yeah.
Especially with the young guys, I think Juventus should feel a little bit more comfortable as to the future and the amount of changes needed. I don't think there's that many fixes needed.
Well, we are, but we aren't, because we are in terms of our roster and who we have and who we can move forward for, and some natural cleanup that's going to take place. But we aren't necessarily in a better position because we are going to need money, and we don't have anybody to sell that we should be selling. Vlahovic, his name has come up a lot over the take. And I would have to say that, honestly, in the summer, if a deal big enough comes in, I'd probably sell him. That's just me. Guys, let's talk about this. Vlahovic.
Yeah, wait, I want to ask you before that, if, like, would you entertain any offer? Not any offer, but the right price for any player, or are there untouchables in the team that said no matter the price, I'm not selling this guy?
See, if I had to go through this team and say untouchable, absolutely untouchable, I would have Bremer, Luca, and Chiesa. That's it.
Those are my three as well.
That's my three untouchable. And honestly, if the dollar came amount in the situation that we're at with Dusan Vlahovic, as much as I wouldn't want to see him go, I think that's our kind of prime ticket to kind of work outside everything else. Where the sad thing is that while most people would place Moise Kean on a sell basis, we're obligated to purchase him, and it's at 38 mil. And the amount, I don't see him bringing in enough unless if he goes on a tear second half of the season. That could be what stops Juve from having to sell a guy that you probably shouldn't, is Moise Kean. But again, Milik to repurchase him is 8 mil for us. He's been good. He's been good. The problem with the Vlahovic thing is that Milik outplayed him even when the service thing was a big issue. So Vlahovic, for me, really has to ramp things up second half of the season. And while we need to see this, and his names are in rumors for sales, Vlahovic is still struggling as of the news today with that groin injury, dealing with the pubalgia there. There's no set time frame. They're trying to get him free for Napoli, but that's uncertain at the moment. So Napoli game's January 13th, Friday the 13th.
Let's flip it back to Omer.
Yeah, I'll put him. Yeah, like Neville here. I would put Vlahovic in the untouchable list. I don't think we've had enough of him. I think he's been thrown into a very tough situation. Like, and Riva Bene's words didn't do him any justice either. But we still have the upper hand in negotiations and stuff, and we still have time to see if he's good enough or not. So that's why I wouldn't get rid of him yet. Like, if there's 2 years left to his contract and next year is the final season and other clubs can strong arm us into selling for a lower price, yeah, maybe. Right now, still untouchable for me. I don't think we scrapped the surface with this guy, and I want him to stay.
This is funny too.
Yeah.
Stop. keep. Hey, we're just talking hypotheticals here. But if Vlahovic had to be, let's change a question. Chiesa, Vlahovic, Bremer. You have to sell one. You have to sell one financially come season's end. Who do you move?
I don't want to answer that question.
You move Vlahovic.
What's
Chiesa, Bremer, or Vlahovic?
You have to move Vlahovic this summer.
I think, unfortunately, if I was going to choose one, you have to choose, because you have that young Turkish boy. Not to say that he's going to be a superstar, but you got that young Turkish boy on the U23 team. What's his name? Yildiz.
Yildiz.
Yeah, Yildiz. Yeah.
Yeah, he's lighting it up. I think he's going to be a great player. He's going to need a couple more years. There was another striker name that was thrown out in the group chat here by Hanin. Can't remember who it was, but
and Bangula.
Getting those solid center backs, that's a tough position to fill, right? And we got one. We got Bremer.
That's a question nobody, I think, really wants to answer. If you have to sell one of those guys, it's hard. Here's the thing. We're just talking if Juve comes to a point where they have to move guys. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be one of the names we don't want to see. Hopefully it doesn't come to that point. Hopefully we can just work through it, see some of these contracts out and move on. But I definitely don't want to see Locatelli moved. Dusan Vlahovic, I think what everybody has to factor in too is the reason that all these talks have been coming in is that apparently it's him and his entourage that might be looking elsewhere come summer. So it may not even necessarily be on Juve's end. Juve, I do completely believe, wants him to be the focal point of the project. Yes. I can understand it. Talented killers up top are hard to find. They're few and far between, but again, it just comes to your own preferences on building the club and the players that we currently have. Who do you want to see moved? For me, if a big offer came in for Vlahovic, I think it'd be hard for me to say no based on just my own opinion of his play so far, if I'm being quite honest. But fingers crossed, he doesn't go anywhere because I don't want to see him go. In terms of Chiesa, we should see him get some minutes December 30th. That's our next friendly. Then we go into Cremonese January 4th after the new year. Chiesa and his impact, I think we saw glimpses of what he's going to bring just before the break. Obviously, we had that little bit of a setback, a little bit of a scare there, but he only got stopped as a precaution, which was good. No actual aggravation or injuring himself or whatnot during this World Cup break. So they just stopped him for fatigue. Maybe a little bit of a sign there of a change in procedures from Juventus, because we've seen a lot of guys come back and then get put to it and re-aggravated or re-injure themselves immediately. The same thing happened with Paul Pogba. While everybody was busy losing their minds about the decision and the call,
Lucci,
I said the key point here in all this is that he has not re-injured himself. He has not actually aggravated anything, and they're shutting him down, just keeping him at that same rehab program. And then obviously 2 days later, because I've been saying this too, the media has no idea on the actual time frames. Okay. They're
including
throwing things
Lucci
out there. They have no idea. But the biggest thing is maybe in the sign and pros, because we had that new hire in September, and then he got quickly promoted to oversee everything on the training and fitness side. There's 2 players that have been shut down, Pogba and Chiesa, during those rehabs. Maybe that doesn't happen previous times, right? So rare J medical W there. There you go. And now Pogba's running again, and whatever we're going to see, Monza Coppa Italia match for Pogba is what they're trying to get here. So I think overall in general, Rabiot and McKennie, I guess we'll talk about that. Rabiot, no signs of him staying. I think the money's just going to be too big. But McKennie, the interesting tidbit that came through this week, regardless of Paul Pogba's status, that if an offer came in, McKennie's good as gone and sold. I don't think anybody's going to really have a problem with that, to be honest.
especially Lucci.
Yeah, like Omer?
Yeah, now that we've seen Miretti and Fagioli and their level of play, yeah, I have no problem with it. Like, if you'd asked me in the summer, my answer will probably be different. And not untouchable, but, be cautious with it. But, Rabiot is as good as gone. The only question is January or June, which actually might save some other players if he gets sold in January. Like, the money from it may prevent us from, and his salary and Paredes and Sandro and Quadrado, those are big salaries gone. This might, save us from selling like of Vlahovic or Bremer or anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I got a
problem
point
with McKennie.
So I'm just making a note.
All right.
I got a question about the McKennie. I think we're pretty much all on the same page with that one, right?
Yeah. I mean, if an offer comes in there, I see no reason to keep him. He's already bottom of the totem pole for me when it comes to midfielders.
But is Rabiot unsellable in January?
No.
See, that's tough. That's a tough one because we could use the money, but based on performances, I think we need that profile.
He's gone in June. I'm not saying to extend him for 10 million. Like, please don't infer that that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just the January one, the January call.
Unsellable. If something comes in, and this is just my opinion, if an offer comes in for anything less than 20 million, it's not worth it.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
it's one or the other.
Up.
It's one or the other. It's McKennie or Rabiot. It's not going to be both. So
I think it will be a hindsight situation, because if Rabiot's performances were only due to the World Cup, and then we decide not to sell him, but he becomes the Rabiot we remember from the past 3 years, then damn it, we should have sold him back in January. But it will be a hindsight case.
I don't think that's the case either. I think
I hope it
this
isn't.
whole World Cup thing, I think it's Rabiot actually getting played in a midfield that makes sense with an outside player that helps him greatly in Kostic, and Sandro being a third center back and not that left flank player. I literally think it's just a matter of making things make sense again. But it's another 6 months, and it's a free. You're not going to get an offer that's going to be through the roof for a guy who's free in 6 months. So
That's correct.
we're
Yeah,
asking
15 million.
ourselves, is 15 million gonna be this big game changer for Juve in January that we have to move a guy that's been really effective for us this season? For me, the answer is no. You know, I would rather move McKennie and make some money there and keep Rabiot for the 6 months and then deal with everything in the summer. That's my personal outlook on it. Do you guys agree?
I don't
Do you
know.
disagree?
I think it hangs in the balance between a win-win and a lose-lose situation with him. I actually don't really mind if he's leaving or if he's staying. Like, the money is fine, in my opinion, and
You're talking about
if he
Rabiot?
stays, it's fine. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. McKennie's price seems higher because he has no more time left on his contract. So the figures were like 30 million, 25, 35. Rabiot was 15. So if one of them has to leave, of course, McKennie, based on performances and market value. But I don't really mind Rabiot leaving either.
It's not a matter of minding or not for me. For me, it's, do you take the guy that's actually contributed more than the other for 15 mil away from this team for the second half, the crunch part of the season? For me, it's a no. For me, it's McKennie can go because he's literally bottom of the totem pole, and you're not going to sacrifice that much in terms of a sale for what you get McKennie in terms of capital versus moving Rabiot, even if he's on a free, because of the fact that he's literally a free agent in 6 months' time. So for me, I'm looking more at the team side of it and who's going to be more crucial, and does the financial gain outweigh that? Because for me, if all of a sudden we're talking, a capital gain of like 25, 30 mil in January, well, okay, then I think it changed. You could probably work around that. But for 15 mil in the grand scheme of things, I don't see the point. I say you hang on to him and you roll for 6 months. To the comment about Allegri having McKennie as untouchable, I think it's actually Rabiot that Max has untouchable out of the two of them. Yeah, so Fares there saying McKennie's untouchable, and Allegri says I think it's actually Rabiot, because
Now,
that's what we're getting to. But go ahead, Ant.
if the Juve management feels that 15 million is needed on the books, that's a big problem. If they feel that they need to sell Rabiot for 15 million because they need the money, we should all start worrying.
Yeah, that would be a sign that there's
a big flashing neon sign.
But
we have another question. I have another question. It looks like Bonucci is out for a while. I didn't get the right time frame. I don't know if it's a month or even more. Max said we won't see him for quite a while for some reason.
End of January.
He's expected the same time as Pogba, the Coppa Italia against Monza. Actually, sorry, he's expected back Friday, January 13th against Napoli.
Okay.
It was originally said that it was going to be end of January. Max Allegri came out and said it's not as bad as everybody thinks, and he should be back like mid-January.
Dr. Allegri. So are we going to see Bremer, Danilo, Sandro, or has Gatti been thrown into the mix? Because lately he's been playing more and more. I'm not talking about the frenzies because everyone is away, but before the end of the season, we saw more and more of him.
It was reported 3 weeks ago that Gatti is going to get an increased workload in the second half of the season. And we've seen in the first half of the season that Max Allegri started to move away from Bonucci in big games. So I fully expect Bremer and Danilo to be the main guys. And then you'll see rotation with Gatti, Sandro, and whatnot. But yeah, those are going to be the two main men at the back, no doubt.
because I think it kind of answers a bit the Quadrado Barbieri question. If Sandro plays and Danilo's on the right, then I'm more calm with Barbieri playing there instead of Quadrado. But if Danilo is moved to the left, then I'd rather have Quadrado on the right side.
Yeah.
So the first game is against Cremonese, and then the second game we have is against Monza, which is a Coppa Italia match. I would say for me, I'm going to watch how we're set up in the second half of the Monza match to see how we're going to roll into the Napoli game, right? The first game back is just going to be really who's healthy. I'm not going to read a lot into that one. And we have another friendly on the 30th. So, but really the second half of the second game, how we roll into the Napoli match is how I'll wait and see how we line up at the back.
So Anine coming in here with, according to reports, we want Kiwior from Spezia, but it's for the summer. I think we should go for him in January because we can't trust Bonucci. And the thing is, we've got Rugani still. If we can find a move for Rugani, then yeah, I would be behind bringing in Kiwior in January. And then for that exact reason is having another boost there. But Rugani, he's taken the backseat to Gatti now, which I'm fine with. Rugani, I've always said for a while, he was like that project, and it's like they just never pulled the cord and just said that's it and moved to the next guy or whatever. So Rugani was fine filling in all last season when he had to, and I don't necessarily have any problems with Rugani filling in this season when we need it. But
has he been a problem?
It's like a project that needs to just go away, and you need to go to the next man because it just never evolved into anything really. But
do we need to go to the next man? Is he causing problems where he is?
It's not that he's causing problems, but there's always going to be that lack of faith. Like Rugani still, even last season when he was good, every time he filled in, there's this lack of faith in Rugani. And
be honest. If you see the lineup to the Napoli game and you see Rugani in there, are you feeling secure?
He won't be in there.
Lineup. But let's say he does. This guy gets injured. This guy has the flu and blah, blah, blah. Rugani is in there. How are you feeling?
Based on how he's come in and performed over the last 14 months.
Don't waterboard me. How are you feeling?
I'd be fine with it. I'd be okay with it because he's done nothing in the last 14 months for me to be concerned about it.
No, I'm not concerned. I kind of feel the same. He's been fine. He hasn't done anything wrong.
He's fine.
Just not the guy I wonder in big matches.
But he's not there in big matches if you don't have 3 injuries ahead of him.
Yeah, we said that before, but suddenly he starts against Ajax and he starts against Lyon, and somehow he finds his way, not on his fault, but I don't know. He's our 4th or 5th CB. I don't expect him to be world class. I think that spot should be reserved for some youngster who can still improve, and not someone.
For me, it's a story of someone trying to fill an area of the newspaper. We need a story to fit in here. Let's talk about selling Rugani. That's what it is. But again, to your point, if we sell him, whatever, let's put a young guy in there. If we keep him, whatever, he's not changing my day at all.
Yeah.
He's a non-story for me.
I would be, like I said, if we had to bring room in and go to a next up and we have targets that we want, I'd be for it.
Sure.
But yeah, is what it is. Before we get to Storm the Barn, because we have a little time for some questions, giveaway time. Let's do some giveaways. Get away from the news here. Okay. So if you followed Lou, so it was almost a clean sweep here, everybody, for Team Berto, because we got most points in the group stage. We won it with Argentina. We had player of the tournament with Messi, and Lou, Sweet Lucifer, with France, takes it for top goal scorer, Mbappe. So everyone who followed Lou, there's 3: Don Chiesa, Josh Fontaine, and Georg, who was in our live here. I think he's still here. Good odds on winning something.
Great odds.
Great odds.
33% chance of winning a jersey.
So
good for you.
I don't know if we were. Well, here's the thing.
Amen.
Poor Lou. So I dropped this on the team that they had no idea whoever won it from the team was going to get a jersey. I ended up winning the damn thing. So I was going to still give Lou this jersey.
No.
Everybody said no and said today on the show, no. So there was going to be a different prize for the giveaway for top goal scorer. It wasn't going to be a kit. But let's do it. Sorry, Lou. We're giving your kit away, man. We're going to give the kit away. So these guys have a 1 in 3 shot at winning this kit. It was such an absolute...
It pays to follow losers.
It was such an absolute banger that I brought it back because everyone on the team loved it. So it's the ADP from 0405.
See, that would look great right there. I'd take that Dybala one down and put it right there.
I randomly assorted numbers from 1 to 3 with a name. In the live chat, just pick a number between 1 and 3, and the first one that pops up is the number we're going to go with, and we're going to see whose name has that kit. It's that simple. That's simple.
Just put a number in.
Just throw a number between
somebody
1
write a
and
number.
3.
Somebody in the chat, just write a number down.
The first one. Oh, come on.
Come on, somebody just type a number. Did we freeze?
2.
Anthony, my man. So who's number 2?
Oh, man.
Georg
Number
writes,
2. Don Chiesa. Don Chiesa from Twitter chose Lou, and Don Chiesa gets a kit. Now, for the 18 who chose to ride with Alberto.
cheaters. Terrible odds to win now.
So, I've got the random number generator, okay? Just going to do it simple. Keep it very, very simple, okay?
Okay, somebody in the chat write a number between
No,
1 and
we're
10.
not. Because I got
Yeah,
the
then-
number generator.
Yeah, but
So-
how many times are you going to run it? Just once?
We're running it for 2. Most points
2.
in the group, and
Boom,
then winner
Skippy.
Argentina. That's
There you
it.
go, 2.
We're going to do 2. So the first one for most points in the group stage isn't going to be a kit. It's going to be a care package from Striped Hearts. Okay.
Mhm.
Cool stickers, tea, whatnot. Okay. You guys can choose, obviously, from the site. We got a lot of wicked stuff, merch in there. So that's what the first one's going to be. So 1 in 18 set. Let's run it. Number 9. Number 9. RG, which is at Royaz from Twitter.
Yep.
Congrats. You're in
See?
for the Striped Hearts gear. Now, the winner, the jersey. And I got another surprise out of the jerseys. Maybe we can land on somebody in the live. Let's see. 16. Oh, man.
Is it me? I didn't follow. I
Oh,
think
man.
I followed you.
16 in the live. Was in the live. RB Comps.
RB Comps. Yeah, he was
RB
here.
Comps.
Oh, he's right there. There we go.
Yeah,
He's,
he's still here. He's still here.
he's still here.
RB Comps in for the jersey. Wow. 16. So he was jacked up. Saw the comments.
Congratulations.
Look at that. He was
Somebody
in there
better.
with cash me that money, babies. Like, I knew rolling with Al was an amazing idea. There you go. He's in
It
here.
always
So
pays full cheaters.
RB Comps, we're not done here.
Congratulations.
So the World Cup Ride or Die was a national kit, team kit of your choice. You can still do that. Or I have another one of these that you
Son
could
of a
take
bitch.
as well. So, RB Comps, do you want the ADP or do you want to
Oh,
choose a national
obviously.
team kit of your choice?
Obviously, it's the ADP.
It's a
jersey.
Juventino that won, so I offered it up. Let me know in the live. And now the giveaways are done and handled. This is come on. What's
Mhm.
you know,
It He could only be that, confident of himself if he knew how it was going to end. He didn't sweat for a second. He knew he was going to win.
Mhm.
And I want to see your picture with Salt Bay by the end.
There you go, Al. There you go. It has been written. So it'll be written. So it'll be done.
There you go. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
okay?
my
We
man.
need an investigation. Hey, I'm sure the FIGC is all over this one too.
I'm with Skippy on this one. Me and Skip.
Okay. Well, that was good stuff. Nice way to go into Christmas and everything.
Mhm.
So, Bon Natale to everybody and everything. We got some giveaways going on. Guys, I always say this all the time. Don't worry about the giveaways. I don't think there's anybody that's done as many giveaways as we do for when it comes to like Juve stuff. Like, I haven't seen it anyways.
What are you at? 160, 120 jerseys?
For how many
given away?
I own in my personal collection?
No, how many you've given away? What was the number?
Oh,
at?
no. For giveaways, I think we're at 36 kits now.
Oh,
We've done a lot through Striped Hearts Apparel too. They've had probably 10 giveaways. So, yeah, we always like to say thanks. And
Yeah. We always do it on milestones like followers on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. So spread the word out. The more you get people to come into our cause, the more giveaways you'll have. That's our system.
there you
And
go.
every World Cup here and there.
There you go. Yeah, the World Cup was we got a lot of props for that one and bringing that one on. Everybody had a lot of fun with it, the banter as well and whatnot. So it was good stuff. They're saying for Christmas, guys, hope to be able to watch more shows live in the new year. We love having you on here in the live chat, Garrett. So hopefully that plays out. We got time for a couple quick Storm the Barn, then we're going to shut things down. Do you guys have any questions, Ant or Omar, that maybe something we didn't kind of get into on the show before people throw their Storm the Barns in? I think we kind of tackled quite a bit. We got into look that Pogba continues to just really be this polarizing guy that just it's crazy. And celebrating at a team Christmas dinner apparently is not allowed because you're injured.
Okay, I do have a question. I know that's just going to piss Lucci off. Now we're going to do our prediction recap show of the first half, and then I don't think you and I are going to get many mulligans for the second half. I don't think that's going to be allowed this year, but we're going to be doing that sometime next week. But let's just do a quick little preview while people get their Storm the Barn questions in. Who is the one player, and it could be a youth player, that you hope breaks out in the second half of the season? Who's if you want to pick one guy who you say, I think this guy is going to be the guy in the second half of the season.
Is it
who's going to be? Let's start it. Who's going to be the guy?
Who we think?
Hope. No, who we hope
Hope or
would break out.
Sorry, hope or think. Just
It's
kind of
funny,
throw it out there
but
while people get their.
it feels like Miretti is one of the senior guys now. Like there have been so many youth names that Miretti feels like an old story. Like his place is cemented in the team. So we haven't seen a lot from him, but what we have seen was phenomenal. I'll go with Ealing Jr. I want that guy to blow up.
Good call.
So, okay, youth player.
Anybody.
Anyone.
Okay. So for me, I think someone who's going to maybe surprise people or who I hope is going to have a good second half of the season is Ake. He had that stupid injury in that preseason game where they didn't call the delayed offside and he busts up his ankle against Chivas. I think he's going to be a player. Ealing Jr., great call. But I sort of hope Ake, for some reason, I don't know what it is, I think he's going to be breaking into that first team more than people
No,
think.
I was actually leaning, to the young guys, but if I want someone to really have a fantastic second half, it's Vlahovic, hands down.
Fair enough.
So I'll go this way. For young guys, I hope it's Moretti, but I think it's going to be Fagioli, who just kind of continues to really set the tone and whatnot second half of the season. But I'm hoping it's Moretti because I swear to God, I feel like even if you watch that game yesterday, Moretti had an opportunity he needs to finish, and he just doesn't even hit target. Like, he's got to get that dialed in. I swear to God, once he gets that contribution for the senior side, it'll just get a monkey off his back, and then he can move forward. So I'm hoping Miretti, when it comes to young guys, I think it's going to be Fagioli. When I talk about the whole team in general, it's Chiesa without a doubt that I think second half of the season gets fit, gets to the point where we are safe in how many minutes we can offer him. I think Chiesa is going to be the igniter for this team without a question. Sule loan, so he could have a breakout with Sampdoria, maybe. All signs are pointing that he's going. Caio Jorge expected to loan out in January as well, possibly going to Brazil as well. Illing Jr., I like the Illing Jr. shout. The only reason I probably wouldn't is because I think Kostic is still going to take so many minutes, and I think that's Illing's role is going to be to give Illing. If Illing Jr. can have a breakout through the cameos, because he really was until his injury, he was coming in for those 10, 15 minutes, and he was blowing us away with his pace and his dribbling and his skill and whatnot. So if he can offer that, be in the talks of a great breakout through that, massive.
Can he not play?
He even had a goal against Arsenal, and in the last friendly, Allegri played him even further back, like he was sort of an LB. I think it was Compagnon ahead of him, but it wasn't like all-out attack like we've seen previously. So maybe Allegri is shifting to, different formation a bit, or wants him in a bit of a deeper role, or to have that option. But it was interesting. He played a different role yesterday, so we'll see how that shapes out.
Can he not play on the right side?
Maybe he can, but we haven't seen him. I haven't seen him play on the right. Maybe he's played for the next gen.
Do you know what I mean? Because in there, we're asking, is Barbieri the guy for Quadrado? Is Illing Jr. the guy for Quadrado?
Well, we've only seen Illing Jr. on the left side.
Yeah.
De Chilio is the guy for Quadrado.
There's a guy.
So let's get to this Storm the Barn here. We got Juve midfield should consist of Rovella, Fagioli, Miretti, Locatelli, Pogba, and SMS. The rest can go. We were throwing in Sergei Milinkovic-Savic before writing a check. Locatelli, Miretti, Fagioli, Rovella. So I guess what I would do with this is ask you guys a question. You guys, let's say this was the midfield. Do you have any fear that it's consisting of that many young guys? Where do you stand on Juve in terms of balancing the young guys? Because we've got this problem with, it's a great problem to have, but all this young talent and looking at integration, because some people, this is kind of what's going around on Twitter and whatnot, at least in most discussions, is you can't have a team with all these youngsters and whatnot. Some are saying even 6 across, a lineup and whatnot. A team is too many or whatnot. But like, I look at it differently. I look at like, out of your starting 11, I don't think there's a set number that you should have based on an age. It comes down to ability, performance, and what you bring and how you support and round out the lineup, the team. That's what it always comes down to. Age shouldn't be this factor. So Neville, this is your stance on the midfield, what it should consist of. I'm going to switch it and turn it into a question, which is basically, how do you guys feel about integrating young? Is there a limit? Do you think there needs to be a limit? Like, how do you achieve that balance? For me, it just comes down to performance. It really doesn't matter on age. And if you look at some of these guys are young. Vlahovic is young. I still consider Vlahovic young. You know what I mean? Chiesa, I still consider somewhat young.
Locatelli's only 24.
Like
25.
What are we talking about here? It all comes down to what they can bring. And my thing is, and I don't know if you guys feel the same, I'm going to lay this out for you. I hate how a lot of the time it's assumed that you are going to sacrifice winning with young guys. That's the problem I have. And I feel like it's a stereotype of Italian football. But I don't like it. I don't care about it. And I think balance, it just comes in what the players bring. And we saw that with Fagioli entering the midfield. And even Miretti, honestly. What do you guys think about the balance?
Omer?
Look, we don't have like a Modric now in our team, a senior player who's punching above his weight. And we don't have like a Chiellini out there or someone that has to be there and defies the chances. The amount of talent Real Madrid gave up on because of Modric is insane, but it's justified. And we don't have that type of player. If we did have it, then I would say, okay, we need the seniority in there, someone who's been around the block and, navigate these young guys and help them. But probably Lucatelli is the one right now that, is up for the task since Rabiot is leaving, McKennie, Paredes won't stay. And I'm totally fine with it. Like the other, we don't have anything else, to say against it. These are the guys we have. They are talented. We've seen them play. The youth project is sort of a success. I'm perfectly fine with having these young guys, and like you said, some of them are still young, but they're not considered young anymore because we have so many players that haven't reached their 20s yet. Fine, absolutely fine. The midfield Neville suggested, the 6 guys, taking that tomorrow and rolling with it.
Yeah, good stuff.
So earlier in the season, I was, I had my thoughts on the young guys. They've come in, proven me wrong, but Rovella even said it this week. He needs to gain physicality, right? He's played 3 years in the Serie, but like Moretti isn't physically there. Maybe mentally he's getting there, but you can't send all the young guys out there by themselves. You can't. I'd say you need someone like Locatelli to Omer's point. You need someone like an older player to sort of ground them out there. I wouldn't trust them all out there by themselves, but they are playing better. But I don't think the 3, like I wouldn't start a midfield with Rovella, Moretti, and Fagioli out there. I wouldn't do it. I'd put 2 of them with Locatelli. I wouldn't have a problem with that, but they're not this season. They're not ready. Next season, Rovella said himself, he's not physically there yet. He needs to improve that aspect of his game. And it's true. Moretti just gets bullied, right? Good player, going to be a great player. But he still needs to grow, and he needs those experienced players around him to cover for him if he makes mistakes. Almost there, not quite there.
Like Al said, if you want them to be experienced, you need to play them.
You have to play them.
What better chance than the situation we're in right now? And it also shapes character. Like Chiellini got the benefit of, going down to Serie B. He got a lot more minutes than he was expected to get because of injuries and lack of players. And that shaped him out as a player. Same goes for Marquisio. And we enjoyed that. So maybe these young guys need to go through that rough patch in order to build their character. And when they're ready and hit their peak, like at 24, 25, they've been around the block. They suffer. They didn't grow up on only winning. Like Mbappe didn't have to deal with rough times, which isn't good or bad. It just, he's a super talented guy. So that's the situation. But a lot of these guys need that, especially the young generation who's solely focused on only winning, and some of them just don't know how to handle bad times.
And the benefit of these youngsters is that they've had that Primavera squad that plays in Serie C, right? So that's something that, old guys like me forget, is that these guys aren't coming from like the U16 team into the first squad. There's that middle sort of league that they're playing in to cut their teeth. So
yeah.
No, Rovella has already been to 2 loans and plays in Serie A for 3 years now.
Jolie,
We don't have like a Pirlo running around, to help usher in the new guys. We kind of have to bank on them.
Yeah. Thing is, it's all about balance. Do you need experience? Yeah, I mean, you need a little bit out there. But like, I mean, at the same time, like we had this belief, like experience. Our whole lineup was experienced to the point where it became outdated, and we needed changes. And it's like now you have this plethora of young talent coming up, and it's like, well, they're not experienced. Well, again, it's funny because you're shooting one thing down, but there's no way for them to gain that other than being used and being played. It's all about balance and harmony. For me, experience or whatnot, if the team plays well together, then it is what it is. It comes down to the performances and the balance and what they can all bring to each other and round out the unit. The experience that comes with time. You can't go through a rebuild, and because we are technically retooling, we're reshaping, we're remolding this team, and there's been a lot of changes already. There's going to be even more this summer. So this whole thing with experience, you just mix it in here and there. But
like, how experienced is Pinsolio? I mean, is he like experience is gained and not given through just playing? These guys need to play, and we can't keep sending him out on loans because we don't have enough space. Now we do have space on the team for these young guys. Let's use that. It's not always the case. If these guys were around when Marquisio, Pogba, Pirlo, Vidal, they could barely get any minutes, like maybe here and there, but no experience.
Yeah. The funny thing is that like you still have guys that like look at the younger guys, look at the young talents that are out there and whatnot, and they're garnishing all this attention and whatnot, and you're spending all the big bucks, not on the experience. You're spending it on the talent. That's where you're spending your money on. So it's like, sure, you round out a club again. For me, it's roles. It's not necessarily experience. It's like I still sometimes feel like Juve lacks that asshole in the lineup, and we need like a couple assholes, like guys that just agitate the hell out of the other team. I still think we need some assholes. We had Mario Mandzukic, who was one of the best at getting under the skin and taking all that attention from all those other players. For me, it's not about experience so much as it is the roles and balancing out the team. But again, everybody looks at it in their own way and whatnot. But it's always good for discussion and everything like that. Everybody, hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to wrap things up here. A lot of Juve news. Again, we tackled everything when it comes to the last friendly, the reopening investigations, all this. We had the giveaways out there. Congrats to RB Comps. Congrats to Don Chiesa, and congrats to RG, all picking up prizes. And hey, enjoy the holidays. Okay. And yes, there you go. Love ugly players like Mandzukic, Chiellini, the guys that do the dirty work and whatnot. I still say Juve needs at least one of those guys currently. But yeah, you guys appreciate all the support. Live. Glad you guys enjoyed it. Anthony, Omar, thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, have a safe, happy holidays. I'm not going anywhere. Still going to bring you the daily updates throughout the holidays. Okay. And
maybe some TikToks.
What's that?
You gonna do some TikToks too?
Hell yeah. Still busting my
It
was a little bit late.
I gotta throw in, first of all, it's been way too long and I've kind of missed the podcast, and we're going to come back full swing when the game's coming fast. But I want to shout out just best wishes to Viali and his battle against cancer. Very important. Always keep it in our minds. So hopefully all is well and he'll be healthy and back on his feet. The guy's a serial winner, and that's another battle I hope he's going to win.
That one, it hit me pretty hard when we got the news that he took a turn for the worse during his treatments and everything. Since then, got some news that it's a little bit better than it was in the days prior, as he's now at least home with his family and everything. So again, obviously thoughts and prayers with him and his family as he continues to fight and battle. We know he's a fighter, and cancer is just the shits.
The son of a bitch.
It really is. And Viali, man, that represents a lot of my childhood right there. Viali, when it comes to Juve and memories, the guy was an absolute beast. Absolute unit. And I was telling Lou, as he was saying, that's one of the players he wishes he would have seen a lot more of and everything. And I seriously can't stress enough to all you, if you get the time, go to footballia.net and literally look up old school Juve matches where Viali's playing in there. I always was blown away at the sheer size of the guy. The guy was a
It was a
bull.
unit.
And
Yeah.
man, when you had Vialli, Ravanelli, and Baggio, it was unbelievable. So
Yeah, that
literally,
was
I'm telling you guys, go
perfect
back to those early 90s Juve games where it was Vialli, Ravanelli, and Baggio up top for Juve and just simply enjoy.
And Del Piero on the bench.
Del Piero
Like,
came in, in his rookie season, and he substituted Roberto Baggio, and the rest starts from there. He wore number 16 Del Piero when he entered. But yeah, it was unbelievable. A lot of my childhood memories there. All the best to Gianluca Vialli. Everybody, thank you again. Like the video before on your way out. Drop a comment in after, as it all helps, and continue to share. We had 3 giveaways today, and we keep them rolling as long as you just keep sharing. We keep growing the AJC army. All right. Forza Juve, fino alla fine. Buon Natale tutti. Ciao.